either. Oh, wow, thank you. It's communion.
I'm on a diet. I can't have sugar. I got 1 week left of my dry January.
Gotta just.
Phew, I'll probably make up for everything in a week, you know what?
That's your.
Okay, call to order the regular meeting of Monday, January 22nd, 2024 to order. I ask all who have not signed in, please do so. Please turn off all cell phones and other electronic devices. Please conduct any private conversations in the hallway or outside. This meeting room is equipped with the inductive loop hearing assistance system. Be able to hear conversations through the microphones on hearing aids with a T-switch. Emergency exits can be found to your right and to your left. Please note this meeting is also live streamed via YouTube with text commenting available. So at this time, if you please join us in a salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll move public hearing. I'll ask our town clerk to please read public hearing number 1.
Notice of public hearing, proposed local law to override the New York tax levy limit for 2020.
That's the other one.
Oh,
1086
I'm sorry.
Strong Road.
All right.
Good practice, though.
Yeah. Notice of public hearing, 1086 Strong Road subdivision, Town of Victor Drainage Improvement Area. Please take notice on behalf of Iverson Construction. Information was submitted for 1086 Strong Road subdivision to be included in the town's drainage improvement area. And please take further notice that the Victor Town Board will hold a public hearing on January 22nd, 2024 at 7 p.m. at the Victor Town Hall, 85 East Main Street, to consider this application, and at which time all interested parties will be given an opportunity to be heard. Written comments may also be directed to the Victor Town Clerk on or before 12 p.m. on January 22nd, 2024.
Thank you, Karen. So real quick, this public hearing for the 1086 Strong Road subdivision drainage improvement area. This is for the information for the town board to conduct a public hearing to hear comments one way or the other, whether or not to include this subdivision into the drainage improvement area within the town. Similar subdivisions to this one around the town have been included in the drainage improvement area. Town engineer has reviewed the application, the map, the plan, and report for this proposed extension into the existing drainage improvement area. This requested extension allows the town to have the authority to maintain the drainage/stormwater facilities within this subdivision. A resolution accepting this extension is in this evening's packet. This subdivision has met all the approvals by the planning board previously. So at this time, I take comments from the public, whether or not they approve of this extension or not. Again, I ask if there's any member of the public that care to speak for or against this extension on the drainage improvement area. Hearing none, I will close this public hearing. Ask the town clerk to read the second public hearing notice.
Notice of public hearing, proposed local law to override the New York tax levy limit for 2025, Town of Victor. Please take notice that a local law has been introduced by the Town Board of the Town of Victor, New York, on January 8th, 2024, designated as a local law to override the New York tax levy limit for 2025, which would permit the Town of Victor to increase the town's tax levy beyond that amount otherwise permitted by the New York tax levy limit legislation. Said local law is on file in the Victor Town Clerk's office, where it's available for public inspection during regular business hours. Please take further notice that a public hearing upon said local law has been scheduled for January 22nd, 2024 at 7 p.m. to be held at the Victor Town Board at the Victor Town Hall, 85 East Main Street, Victor, New York, 14564, at which time all interested parties will be given an opportunity to be heard. Written comments may also be directed to the Victor Town Clerk on or before 12 p.m. on January 22nd, 2024.
Thank you, Karen. At this time, I ask our Director of Finance, Rich O'Donnell, to provide an overview for both the town board as well as the public.
Good evening, everyone. I am Rich O'Donnell, the Finance Director here at the Town of Victor. Just a couple quick highlights in regard to this resolution for consideration. New York State OSC allows towns, villages, and school districts the ability through resolution to exceed the tax cap. Currently, the tax cap's at 2%. This practice has been in place for the Town of Victor and the board since 2012. And it's mainly done as a precautionary measure through our budget process for consideration. Out of the 12 years that the town has been doing this, we've only exceeded the tax cap 3 times, and those are the years of 2017 through 2019. Over the last few years, as everyone knows, inflation has really been hitting everyone's budgets and so forth, and we have had the ability to look at raising the tax cap, and we've found some other ways not to have to do that. We were seeing everyone seeing inflation at 6, 7, 8%. We were at 2%, and 2 out of the last 3 years, we kept our tax levy the same without increasing it at all. Just this past year, we increased it 2%. How we do this? We have a couple different ways. We've been very fortunate here at the Town of Victor to see some nice revenue increases in the way of sales tax. Sales tax is a big driver of our budget now. And also the town programs. We have, over the last couple of years, we looked diligently at the town services, what we charge for them in the way of rec programs, fees that the certain departments charge to make sure we're charging out the best we can with costs. And the other thing we're very diligent on in the finance and the board is looking at monthly expenses. We look at every expense every month and compare it to how we're doing with the budget in order to make sure we're staying within guidelines. So this resolution is by no way are we looking to plan to going into our budget meetings for 2025 to increase it. It's basically as a precautionary measure to use. But our budget workshops will be open to the public this summer for public input, and we certainly would welcome everyone's thoughts on that. So,
Thank you, Rich.
thanks.
Okay, and again, members of the public, please keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. At this time, open to public comment. Please state your name for the record. Name and address. Time. Thank you.
Good evening, Town Board and general public, and people watching live. My name is Randy Shea, and I know I only have 3 minutes, but I have questions. So my question to you before I start is, if I ask a question and then somebody answers it, is that taken off my time?
No, public hearings are not Q and A. They're to make statements regarding so it's the building of the record.
Okay. Well, in that case, then the questions I ask, I already think I know the answer to. So I will just ask them and then answer, and if you object to my answer, that's fine. My questions. Okay, so has my time started? Because I had a question. Okay, thank you. My question is to the Victortown Supervisor, Jack Marin. In reference to the property and pertaining to a question that was asked to you and responded by you in a recent interview with Channel 8 News about the intention of the town to purchase a parcel of property located...
Excuse me, if I may. So the comments here are for the tax cap override. The comments you're directing now...
Oh, okay, I'm
better
ahead
suited
of schedule. Yes,
for
no.
public comment.
Well, yes, thank you very much, and I'm out of order. Have a good day. I'll be back in a minute.
So this comments right now, or whether or not you agree or disagree with the tax cap override?
Cheryl Jones Richter, address is 125 Church Street. I just have a couple of thoughts or considerations for the board. I understand it was told that it was a precautionary measure, but would ask that in preparing the budget, there's two elements that come into play in terms of taxes. One is the tax rate, which has been 2%. The other is the assessed values. And it's my understanding, we've had prior discussions, that currently Victor's assessed values are significantly below full market value. I think on the record it shows at 79%. So part of the question is whether the board can consider, in terms of, increasing revenues can come from two ways. One is assessed values, the other is tax rate, and would ask that the board consider not doing both, because otherwise that would be significant increase in terms of increased assessed values, which will result in greater revenue as well as a tax rate increase. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Ken Preston. I live at 69 Cobble Creek Road. I do have some concerns about raising the levy too. I know that you say it's a, protecting ourselves from, issues that could that could come up. But also my concern is that our taxes our assessments are going to be going up, skyrocketing in the next year or so when you go ahead and reassess us. Because I know the houses in my neighborhood are all selling for $50,000, $100,000 more than what the market value is for them. And when you guys run the numbers, all our property taxes or all our assessments are going to rise up, which is going to also do that too. And I'm begging you guys to take that in consideration with this tax levy option that you guys are gearing up to be able to protect yourselves, but just paying a lot of taxes. That's it.
Sandra Schneider, 7571 Modoc Road. Before Christmas, I talked to the assessor, and she did say that next year will be a new assessment. It hasn't been done, I think, since 2019. She did say that the assessments would go up to full market value, which is 21% above the current rate, because we're at 79%, so it would jump up to 21%. So I don't understand why we need to increase the tax levy more than 2%, and if we do, what percentage are we going to ask New York State for? Like she said, we don't need both hammered at us. We could just ask for more than 2%. We don't ask them for a certain number. So it's unknown, it's unlimited.
I'm not going to answer any
Okay.
questions.
Town board members, Dan Crowley from Lambert Street in Gibson Mills. Your budget man talked about what's the term? The inflation rate that's affected the town board. Well, I live in a community where inflation rate affects us deeply. And if you want to talk about increasing tax revenue and exceeding the cap, it's going to be another burden on us residents. And it's just, quite frankly, something we just can't afford. So something for you to think about. We live in the average age of people that live in the Gibson community is 55 plus years old. And we don't see increases in our budgets any longer. So, and another thing, right now we're at $1.72 per thousand tax rate in Victor. Is that correct or not?
Correct.
I can remember a time, and it wasn't that long ago, when we were under $1. I don't know where this increase in taxation rate has gone, but this is not right.
George Beckinghausen, 5 Somerset Lane. I'd like to add a younger voice to these proceedings as well, to reinforce the same concerns. I too am concerned about the tax cap override. I guess to tell my personal story, I have not, I make the same exact amount of money that I made 7 years ago. So me and my young family have learned to make many different cuts to our own budget in order to cope with the increased inflation and other rising costs. As was mentioned, the assessment values, we've seen those go up and up and up, sometimes very, very high jumps in the assessed value, even though it's technically not 100%, but still very high values compared to when we moved in. And in the notes here, I see that the way that the costs were maintained was to increase revenue and monitor expenses, but I see nothing about trying to actually reduce costs. And in some of the past meetings, I can see spending that I have ideas to help with those costs. So if there's somehow I can help and be involved, I'd be happy to.
Thank you. Any other members of the public care to speak for or against this tax cap override? Okay. The board entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Some great points raised by you residents. I do appreciate your comments. Clearly, I know even my own wife has said, keep that assessor away from our house, so you're not alone by any means. So a couple things. I know, certainly, I think, and I haven't followed much in the city of Rochester, but I understand this hasn't been a popular item down there as well. And I know Penfield and Arundequoit, very vocal, and rightly so, Canandaigua. Farmington is, I know Farmington went through it the same time as Canandaigua, and I know the Farmington supervisor, I applaud him because I think the town of Farmington, and again, if you have friends and family over there, you can certainly ask them. My understanding, I think their assessed value went up total about 33%. And I think what he did was he reduced his tax rate by about that equal portion. And that's the cooperation that's needed from all the taxing jurisdictions. And I say all. School district, our fire districts, we have 2 fire districts in the town, as well as the library, and as well as this town government. I do know that the county last year was a 10% increase, and this year they went up again 9%. And I know I was a bit in the minority there when it came to fighting for that, and it seems like the county is doing things a little different, and I know I'm a part of that, government as well, where they're actually grabbing additional tax money from all the citizens in our county. So we will keep all these things in mind, certainly, and again, conversations that myself and the board members have had with the town assessor, I think she is preparing in this calendar year to do a town-wide reval potentially for next calendar year in 2025. But more to follow through articles in the newsletter that she should be putting out, as well as on the town's website as we move forward with that. And again, I know the point was made, certainly when it comes time for, Mr. O'Donnell mentioned that as well, we have budget workshops. And also when it comes time to vote for the actual budget, there's a public hearing, just as there is right now, an opportunity to voice your displeasure, concerns, whatever it may be. So those are things moving forward. And again, we usually start those workshops in July and August, September, try to wrap up the budget and usually vote probably the latter part of October of this coming fall. So that's where we are on that. A couple of meeting announcements I do want to mention. We have actually the last meeting of every month to try to recognize employees who has to be celebrating birthdays, and we do have 7 employees, starting with February 2nd, Roxy Ammerman, Felicia Skibinski on the 9th, Mr. Mattoon on the 14th. Town supervisor actually has a birthday in February. Lisa Simmons on the 18th. Sandy Cody on the 20th, and Amber Downs on the 29th. So we have 7 birthdays. So petition update. So it was in the posted agenda, and I wanted to touch on that. So the petition for permissive referendum update. On January 16th, the petition with 512 signatures was received and filed by the town clerk's office. The town clerk's office asked the Board of Elections to review the signatures to authenticate that all signatures were registered voters in the town of Victor. The Board of Elections did validate that all signatures were registered voters. The town clerk and the town board accept the qualified petition as submitted. A referendum vote must take place between 90 and 105 days after the petition is filed. So a vote would take place between April 16th and April 30th of this year. The town board will have a resolution setting the dates, the times, location, or locations of the referendum vote. The timing of this resolution is yet to be determined. Our town clerk, I've had very little dialogue with her. Unfortunately, she was quite ill and missed a week's worth of work. But I do have to get with our town clerk, talk to Board of Elections as well to determine hours. We have been informed that the vote time frame has to be at least 6 hours. We will certainly expand on that and be a lot more than 6 hours, so it's more user-friendly, for all of us here. So probably won't be like your normal governor's election from 6 a.m. to 9, but I would believe something maybe 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, start to get that frame. But more to follow on that as well. So, okay, moving to, let's approval of meeting minutes. Town board members, the January 8th town board meeting for your consideration.
Moved. Second.
Yep, you had the organizational meeting and then the regular meeting at 7 p.m.
Dave motion, I second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Payment of bills, manifest number 2. Town clerk, if you please introduce that.
Manifest number 2 in the amount of $663,354.11 has been reviewed by the Victor Town Board with the following accounts charged: General Townwide, General Outside Village, Parkland Trust Fund, Highway Townwide, the lighting districts of Fishers, Brookwood Meadows, High Point, Cobblestone, Coyle Ridge, Rolling Meadows, Stone Lay, and Legacy at the Fairways, S&S Consolidated Sewer Fund, and Trust and Agency.
Thank you, Karen. And as we do in all these meetings, we try to identify expenditures that are in the range of or exceed $5,000. Starting payment number 1 is the Bluestone Creek Development for the February rent for Parks and Recreation. Number 2 is the Cargill salt, needed salt for our town roads. Payment to Harris Beach for the December legal fees. There are chargebacks identified in that invoice as well. Payment to Hometown Energies for unleaded fuel. Payment to LaBelle Associates. Again, chargebacks to the developers. Payment to MDP, January Healthcare for employees and retirees. Payment to Land Pro Equipment for our highway lawn tractor. Payment to Mercy Flight for the 2024 agreement for emergency services. Payment to NOCO Energy for diesel fuel purchased. Ontario County payment for the election inspectors for this calendar year. Payment to RG&E for December townwide gas and electric. Payment to Victory Ambulance for the 2024 agreement for emergency services. And payment to the Village of Victor for the 2023 sewer tax re-levy. Total of these above-mentioned expenditures is $578,462.12. Total town expenditures minus the previous mentioned expenditures equals $84,891.99. Town board members, do you have any questions on this manifest number 2? Hearing none, and entertain a motion to approve the payments hereof.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have no request for privilege of the floor this evening. Moving to public comments and concerns. Again, if you keep your comments to 3 minutes.
Cheryl Jones Richter, 125 Church Street. Thank you, Jack, for the update regarding the permissive referendum. I was here 2 weeks ago when we discussed this, and as was noted, 512 signatures were collected in a period that was less than 2 weeks, and delivered on December 16th. So I think that should send a clear message to the town board that the voters and taxpayers in Victor want to have input, a voice, and a vote in matters of importance to the Victor residents. As you mentioned, this would, I do want to note that I have great respect for the Town Highway and Public Works Department, so there may be a need for additional construction, but still do have questions about the property as raised in terms of potential DEC questions and wetlands. In addition, the value, I think, is under question. There are 3 properties currently for sale. That's for sale on Brace Road, just beyond 41. 4 acres for $150,000, 10 acres for $250,000, and 88 acres for $450,000. So I think a valuation of $870K for the 10-acre plot of land needs to be thought about and rechecked. As you mentioned, the referendum will come before the voters in the 90 to 105-day period. It's my understanding that in addition to this permissive referendum that's required by the town now to bring to the voters, that you could have a resolution that is voluntarily brought before the voters, and the town board may want to consider, if this is an issue of needing new town barns, new Department of Public Works, then consider what's going to be the actual cost of that. It's not going to be just the land. You're going to need the land, the preparation of the land, the construction of the buildings. So rather than piecemealing this in small pieces that kind of come in without much notice, look at what really is the cost that's required and bring that to the voters for consideration. So I would ask that the board take that into account and appreciate your accepting the petition as filed. Thank you.
I'm going to ask you a question. So those parcels, they were south of County Road 41?
They are just beyond, if you're going out of town, so I guess that is south, just beyond 41 and County Road, and Brace Road, yes. County Road
What I will
41.
have to research whether or not, I don't think we have sewer out that way, because the highway department does need sewer. That was what really prevented us from taking a look at Dryer Road for the entire complex there, so.
Okay. But again, valuation of property is the question. Not necessarily those pieces of property, but if there's 88 acres for $450K, is 10 acres really worth $1 million? Thank you.
Any other members of the?
Hello again, Ruth Nellis, 93 East Parkway in Victor. I also stand behind Cheryl, what she said about the, it being a very wet land. I'm wondering if you have proposed in your plan, you have a permit required to do a stormwater and groundwater study. And of course, a full engineer study. Looks as though this land would require quite a bit of work if it is indeed approved. I also would like to know, have the neighbors along Brace Road been informed of the possibility of this plan? There would be quite a bit of heavy traffic, and they would go by, for example, the hospice house. So I'm a bit concerned, sometimes the neighbors are the last to hear, especially if they don't attend your meetings. I have another question about Brace Road. Since heavy municipal equipment will be using it, what proposals are there to adapt Brace Road to this? Or I guess it's not clear to me about the road you have suggested that would go behind Anthony Drive. If it would go directly out of this collection of buildings, with trucks go, drive on Brace Road, and I'm wondering if Brace Road is equipped to handle this traffic.
There would be a possibility, something we have to look for. We do have an easement through their land. Right now, the easement comes through our parkland, and we could not build a road that would, through parkland, we could build a road into parkland, but that's as far as it could go. We would need actually a through road, and there is some acreage on the other side of it that the town does own. So we would have to work with the owners over there to adjust the easement and to allow a road to be built.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We'll try again. Randy Shea, 50 West Main Street, Victor, New York. I'm coming tonight as a citizen of Victor, New York, an elector. And as far as the question answer, I will point out in the last session that I was attending, there was actually question and answers. And even tonight, there was a question and answer. So I'll point that out, that the inconsistencies sometimes confuse me, and I'm sorry about that. So I'm going to ask these questions, and I'm going to answer as if I am the person that I'm asking. And if there's a problem with that, then please let me know, because I pretty much know the answers. Victor Town Supervisor Jack Marin, in reference to the property and pertaining to a question that was asked of you and responded by you in a recent interview with Channel 8 News about the intentions of the town to purchase a parcel of property located at 1256 Brace Road, you gave the impression that the property in question is assessed for $300,000. After doing some research, I believe that the property in question, and according to the 2023 final assessment roll, was assessed at $87,000. And then the question, which I guess I won't get an answer, in order to clarify, this is the general public, to the general public. Which is it, $300,000 or $87,000? I believe I'm right in saying that it's $87,000. Follow-up question. They also reported that you said that the town must go by the appraised value. With the powers of eminent domain and being that the intended purpose that would apply would be for public use, why pay more than the appraised value of $850,000? And why did the town not get at least 3 appraisals to go by in terms of determining what might be a more accurate appraised value? Thank you. I have no further questions for you at this time. This would be to Director of Finance, Richard O'Donnell. Had a very positive experience with him overall, very open and transparent. I recommend people get to know him. In a recent communication from the Town of Victor, New York, in a document entitled Town of Victor, New York, Brace Road Property Overview, at the bottom it stated, for additional information, please contact Rich O'Donnell and include your official Town of Victor, New York email. It included. So anyway, I was going to direct these questions to him. I don't really like to do private meetings or private emails. I like things being in public. I learned in my accounting courses in college that terms and definitions matter a lot in terms of how we might answer a question pertaining to finance. Do you agree? Yes, he would, I believe. My primary question relates to the question, would this purchase increase tax rates for residents? That was the question on the document. The answer provided was no, since the funds for this purchase of land will be coming from reserves. This will not have any impact on the current tax rate. I believe that to be true. But the question is, would the answer be the same if you were making the same statement about future tax rates? Yes, no, or it depends? And at bare minimum, it would be dependent, in my opinion, and what I think you would say. In a normal fiscal calendar year for the town, what is the primary source of what is called a surplus? The answer would be more taxes than what they needed. There's other sources, but that would be the normal, I believe. For the expenditures mentioned in the document, it mentions that the money that goes into the reserve funds comes from surplus. It also states that the reserves are used to help, quote unquote, help offset anticipated costs for this project. That implies that more tax revenue may be required, right? Yeah, maybe. If we spend $1 million of what is in the reserve fund now, wouldn't that likely increase the likelihood of needing to raise more tax revenue later? It could, maybe, yes. Is it true that the town of Victor intends to raise assessments on average by 20% or more in the coming years? The answer is yes. I found that out already. Holding all other things constant, if a person's assessment goes up by 30% and their tax rate goes down by 20%, when that person's tax bill arrives, would they be paying more or less in their property tax? The answer, they'd be paying more. So when you guys are talking about tax rates and you're putting these things in answers to us, and it just, most people would just say, oh, well, our tax rate's not going to go up. Well, that could be absolutely true. But if assessments go up 20%, it doesn't mean anything. You could say it's, oh, tax rate's going down 10, 20%, and it could still increase our tax bills. That is something that I think is something you don't need to be a finance director to know the answer to. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your comments. Any other members of the public?
Sandra Schneider. A week after the January 8th meeting, I was watching your website for more information to be informed. One day I saw an assessment for this particular property on your website at $750,000. A few days later, a different assessment for $850,000. So I was just curious how many assessments you actually get from these commercial assessors, how much those assessments cost, and if this is voted down, how much of our taxpayer money is going to be lost? Is there a deposit that we have to pay for this property? And another example, when we voted on the library was very forthright and told us what the entire project was going to cost. Earlier, somebody was saying, we don't need to be piecemealed. If we really do need a new highway department, how much is the whole thing going to cost, including new road work, new traffic signals, et cetera?
Thank you for your comments.
Hey, I'm Bill Martz, 1540 State Route 444. So I guess echoing a lot of the other comments tonight, I don't think anybody's dead set opposed to purchasing this piece of property. I think there was a lot of eyebrows raised as far as the price. It's kind of not the most beautiful piece of property tucked half under the side of the bridge. It's kind of a great maybe property if it's a commercial usage, but last I knew, the highway department didn't have to be visible from the road, so you're kind of paying a premium for that, as well as not being able to use the road really well, as suggested by the engineering team in that. So you'd have to move the road potentially, and you have all the other traffic concerns. So it just seems like there was a lot of questions brought up that there don't appear to be a lot of answers for. So I think it would be good to get some of these questions out to the public, because it seems like there's kind of decisions being made behind closed doors, and a lot of people don't really like that, especially with the $16 million library being sprung on people all at once. People are asking the question of, well, what's this going to cost? The fact that there was only one appraisal, which seemed to change the amount over time, as well as the lack of transparency on the properties that were used for the comparison. Typically, if I'm checking on my property, I can go and it'll give you the exact house numbers that you can go and you can look and compare. So when you're going to discuss that with the assessor, you have an idea of what you're talking about. But just giving general locations wasn't able to do that. It just seems a little dodgy, as well as the fact that there was only one appraisal. And again, not that we don't need a highway garage. Obviously, we need one somewhere, but what are the options? What are the other things we need to do? It just seems like the public would want to know a little bit more before we have this vote and then spend this premium value on a piece of property that sold for much less money in just 4 years ago in 2020. So seeing as the property adjoins the sewer plant, why didn't we know about it at that time? And if that was of interest at that point, perhaps it could have been purchased for a much lower amount. So just all questions I'd look forward to hearing the answers for, and hopefully we can get them out to the public and get a successful project underway. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Kevin Newton. I live at 1245 Heather Lane, right down near Dry Road Park. I've also got some questions about the proposed new highway facility. I think overall, the citizenry, we would just appreciate understanding a little bit more about the details of the justification. As you've heard several people say here tonight, very respectfully, if there's a need, there's a need. And we're all blessed to live here in Victor and be blessed with the facilities that we have and the services that we have. But are there priorities in the justification? Now, I heard tonight that sewage was a premium. That was a significant factor. Are there others? So forgive me, I've just come up to, I've just seen this document tonight from Labella about the site evaluations. There's several comments in here about leasing, and it sounds like leasing is not preferable to ownership. So is that a driving force? What is the priority in the factors to do the evaluation? And also in some of the descriptions, it seems like some of them are a little conflicting. For example, the existing site has some wetlands in it, yet we fully acknowledge that there's a wetland classification on the proposed property. Yet that wetland seems to be manageable or acceptable, but the wetland concern where we currently are isn't. The other thing that would help us as citizens understand is, again, the justification. What is it specifically? I mean, when I drive past it, I don't see trucks or equipment parked outside, so I don't know, is it a storage issue? Is it the number of bays to service equipment? Is that the problem? Is it material storage? Are we looking at commodity-type sheds for salt, for sand, for other building materials? Is that really driving the need for it? So I think overall, as a town, it would benefit all of us to understand maybe the details a little bit more of the justification. So thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for your questions. Are there any other members of the public care to speak?
Good evening. I'm Joe Richter. I live at 125 Church Street, just up the hill. I've just been given this question, so give me a second here. The question is, if there is any kind of agreement in place, tentative or whatever, for this land, is there a contingency so that if the voters do not approve, that the town can get out of the agreement? Thank you.
Any other members of the public? Okay. Moving to reports of town officials. In your packet, board members, you have the engineer's report, the town historian's report, report from the highway superintendent, and overview from recycling. Amazing, Casey, I have to compliment you, and the residents, the Impact Earth, the report of the amount of composting program, 79,452 pounds of food scraps. Wow, that's amazing. So, and I know you've been very supportive of that and continue to be flushing out new ideas for us as well, so thank you. And I guess we take it for granted, but there was less than 1% contamination in all of that, so that's very impressive. So thank you.
It wasn't me. Okay, I'm good.
Well done, Highway Department. Next, report IT, Parks and Rec, and Brian is here. So in the, let's see, recreation programming and facility rental revenue ended in 2023. You exceeded the 2022 level, and this is the largest revenue-producing year in the Parks and Rec's 23-year history. So congratulations to you and your
Good
staff
job.
as well. And boy, you must be hopped up on some meds or something here. In your mailbox, board members, you should have received a economic development. Quite a few items listed under the business, and we'll turn it over to the clerk because she's ready to go here.
I just have a couple of things. I need to ask the board, No Chino is asking for a 30-day liquor license renewal. Does the board have any objection?
No objection.
No objection.
Okay, and we received a speed study for Bradhurst Street. There was never a speed limit there, so they've determined that 30 miles per hour is appropriate for Bradhurst Street. And also, we just need to know availability of board members for February 12th. I think Mike is the only one.
Okay, thank you. Couple items. Last meeting, I mentioned that the New York State DOT letter on High Street regarding the, in the school zone area that, from Lane Road to the village line, the DOT decided that it made no sense to reduce the speed limit. I did notify the Sheriff's Department, I mentioned it that I would. I did notify the Sheriff's Department and State Police for additional patrols in those areas. A reminder to board members, Terry Bolt retirement open house is coming Friday. Kim Kinsella's retirement gathering is on January 31st in this main meeting room. Last meeting, I announced that Auction Direct would be laying off 57 employees and closing in March. Unfortunately, the bad news seems to be continuing here. As you can see, if you drive by Wilkins RV, there is a 50% off on sales. They are in the process of, they will be moving to exit 41 off the New York State Thruway near the Del Lago gaming area. We were not notified at all, but it was brought to my attention yesterday that North Face up across from Eastview Mall, they have closed. 650 Restaurant on Route 96, they notified their staff on Friday that they were closing that restaurant as well. So that's kind of it. That's all I had. Hate to be gloomy, but unfortunately things like this occur in January. Okay, board members, do you have any committees? I know it's early in the month, but if there's any committees you care to report on?
Sure, I know everyone got my update about attending the village board meeting, but just want to reiterate that they have hired a new code enforcement officer. I know that they had been contracting with Hopewell for a bit. I think the village mayor has left, but it was nice to see him here today and plan on attending those meetings regularly.
My apologies to that gentleman to your left. Our highway superintendent is going to be sitting up here joining us in case there's any questions that come up in the course of the evening. So Mark Years, thank you for joining us. There's no other board members with
2 questions. One for Brian. I noticed in the report about the Winter Parks and Trails projects, about your construction. Could you talk a little bit more about what you guys are building over there versus having to buy it? Yes, there's the picnic area tables, agility features, some other stuff you guys are working on.
For the public, for the board, the board will be very familiar. We have 2 agility and play areas in the new dog park that will open on June 29th, one in the small dog area, one in the large dog area. And researching the costs associated with buying a kit with these agility figures, features, tunnels, if you will, and ramps for the dogs to crawl up on, and steps and little hurdles for them to go under. I talked to 2 of my park maintenance staff, and we felt it was a really good winter project for ourselves, and it saves us some money that we can save the taxpayers as well as maybe put towards future other projects. It's something we look to do, be a little creative. The 4 canopy-style picnic area tables were purchased in the 2023 budget through our Parks Trust Fund, which is a fund that we use to construct capital projects. So we have 4 of those to go into Harlan Fisher Park, Lehigh Crossing Park, Victor Municipal Park, and Fishers Park, or Village on the Park. So there's those 4. They're pretty large. They have a canopy over them to shield people from the sun. These are places in the park, so we really don't have a shade element like a picnic shelter or something like that. Did some landscape improvements at the town courts that our department maintains. We use the winter months in our lodges and shelters to do repairs of walls, to do repairs of moldings, to do repairs of cabinetry. So that's one of the bulleted items on your list as far as what we do with our winter projects when we're not plowing as much. And then we, in conjunction with the phasing of the dog park project, we have several dead ash trees, hazardous trees that we're taking out in areas where the fence is located, as well as other areas within the park that would help us avoid any type of risk.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I do want to ask Mark. Mark, you have one of your highway employees sitting here in attendance. Now, I heard a story about him that occurred last Friday. I don't know if you want to bring it up, or do you want me to?
Go ahead if you want to.
So I don't, was it Friday? Saturday. So I think about 7 years ago, we had one of our trucks plowing in the Camden Hills neighborhood, caught on fire. We ended up losing it. Fortunately, no one got hurt. This past Saturday, Mr. Kevin Flagg, one of our highway employees, was out plowing, and he came upon a motorist driving his car, which was on fire. Kevin called 911. The individual ended up stopping. My understanding, you got your fire extinguisher out and helped to extinguish that fire. So kudos to you, because I can tell you, we saw a car burn in front of Town Hall here back this summer, and there wasn't much left to it. So congratulations. Well done, sir.
Well done.
Okay. Moving to the business section with resolution number 1. This is out of the Finance Department, a budget transfer. It lists the account numbers, the descriptions, where the money's coming from and going to.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Number 2, this is the amend the resolution number 49 of 2023 to purchase a 2023 Alamo 24-foot Maverick boom. This is a large John Deere, it's now, you're purchasing, what are we purchasing here? It said Alamo 60?
Correct, Jack.
Okay.
Yes. So
Moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? I see you did get, it doesn't seem like much, but in the grand scheme of things, we'll take $2,000 off.
Yeah, the mower wasn't in good shape. We had some issues with the bearings and stuff, and it needed to be rebuilt, so.
Probably all shot, right?
Yeah, it was shot.
Thank you, Mark.
Yep.
Resolution number 3, authorizing for the purchase of a 2024 Ford Transit 350 15-passenger van. The other 2014 van will be declared as surplus. That also is a 15-passenger van.
So moved.
Okay, you have those. All those in favor signifying by saying yes.
Aye.
Those opposed? Number 4, authorization to purchase the Toro Turbo Force 60-inch zero-turn mower for Parks and Recreation.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Number 5, authorization for the purchase of flowers and plant materials. This is for the recycling complex, Parks and Recreation, Town Hall, Highway Department intersection of State Route 96 and County Road 42 and Raleigh Road.
So moved. Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Number 6, authorization for the purchase of benches and trash receptacles for the dog park at Harlan Fisher Park. And again, this is funded through the Capital Parks Trust Fund.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Supervisor Mayor, and I propose we block amendments, resolutions 7 through 14. They're all agreements for employment through our rec program, and I love Brian continuing to bring in money into our program.
I'll second that.
7 through 14, is that?
Yep.
Okay. So as Councilman Condon mentioned, these are for concerts, for our summer series, school-age programs, ice skating, dance instructions, cheerleading, etc. So, with that said, all those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? 7 through 14 are been approved. Number 15 is a request for certificate of liability insurance waiver. And It names 6 individuals requesting this waiver, and has the breakdown of what the activity are, the location, and the amount of the contract.
Moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Number 16 is the after public hearing adopting the local law to override the 2025 tax levy limit for the town of Victor.
I'll move on this, and I'll just say that I, fully expect that we'll work hard and diligently to stay under the 2% cap, which we always try to do, and also let the public know that those meetings will start in August, around when we have our budget meetings, and I would encourage folks to attend. And you can see what we're buying, what we're paying for.
Thank you, Councilman Condon. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Roll call.
Supervisor Marin,
Yes.
Councilman Condon,
Yes.
Councilman Guinan,
Yes.
Councilman Cusimano,
Yes.
Councilman Ogra.
Yes.
Okay. 17, 18, and 19, what these are proclamations. Again, the first one is a proclamation for Terry Bold upon her retirement from the Victor Town Courts. Whereas Terry Bold has devoted an impressive 35 years of service to the Victor Town Courts, demonstrating unwavering dedication, professionalism, and commitment to justice. Whereas Terry Bold's exemplary service with the Victor Town Courts has significantly contributed to the fair and efficient administration of justice, earning her the respect and admiration of colleagues and community members alike. Whereas throughout her tenure, Terry Bold has been a pillar of strength and expertise within the judicial system, serving with integrity, compassion, and a steadfast commitment to upholding the principles of the law. Whereas Terry Bold's contributions to the Victor Town Courts have played a crucial role in maintaining the order, ensuring due process, and fostering a sense of justice within our community. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the town of Victor expresses its deepest gratitude to Terry Bold for 35 years of outstanding service to the Victor Town Courts, acknowledge her invaluable contributions to the pursuit of justice. Further, we extend our heartfelt wishes to Terry Bolt for a retirement filled with fulfillment, joy, and the opportunity to reflect on a career marked by the dedication and excellence. And our town clerk has put the seal on each and every one of these that I will give to Terry this coming Friday night, and hopefully her sister Sandy, which is the next proclamation, and then next on the 31st will be Kim Kinsella. So on number 18 is the proclamation for Sandy Cody upon her retirement from the town of Victor, whereas Sandy Cody has dedicated an impressive 38 years of service to the town of Victor, demonstrating an unwavering commitment to excellence, professionalism, and community. Whereas Sandy Cody's tireless efforts and contributions have played a pivotal role in the growth and success of the town of Victor, embodying the spirit of public service and civic responsibility. Whereas throughout her tenure, Sandy Cody has been a beacon of leadership, inspiring her colleagues in leaving an enduring legacy of hard work, dedication, and integrity. Whereas Sandy Cody's wealth of knowledge, expertise, and passion have greatly enriched the town of Victor, contributing to the betterment of our community and the well-being of its residents. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the town of Victor expresses its deepest gratitude to Sandy Cody for 38 years of exemplary service, acknowledging her invaluable contributions to our town. Further, we extend our heartfelt wishes to Sandy Cody for a fulfilling and well-deserved retirement, marked by joy, relaxation, and the pursuit of new adventures. I do want to mention that both Sandy and Terry, their mother, worked here at the town clerk's office many years ago, so it's quite a legacy there for them. And their brother was a former highway superintendent of ours as well. So, and number 19 is the proclamation for Kimberly Kinsella upon her retirement from the town of Victor. Whereas Kimberly Kinsella has dedicated an exceptional 37 years of service to the town of Victor Planning and Building Department, contributing to the growth, development, and prosperity of our community. Whereas Kimberly Kinsella's unwavering commitment to excellence and her passion for our town's planning and development have played a vital role in shaping the landscape and infrastructure of the town of Victor. Whereas throughout her tenure, Kimberly Kinsella has been a respected leader within the Planning and Building Department, guiding and inspiring her colleagues with her expertise, professionalism, and dedication. Whereas Kimberly Kinsella's innovative ideas, attention to detail, and tireless efforts have significantly contributed to the success of various planning and building projects, leaving a lasting impact on the town of Victor. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the town of Victor expresses its deepest gratitude to Kimberly Kinsella for 35 years of outstanding service in the planning and building department, recognizing her invaluable contribution to our town. Further, we extend our warmest wishes to Kimberly Kinsella for a joyful and well-deserved retirement filled with new adventures and the fulfillment of lifelong dreams. So,
We'll
congrats.
move to block all three of those.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Three outstanding young ladies. Moving to number 20, coming out of the town clerk's office. We have a letter of credit. This is for Southgate Hills 2, utility only, and release number 6.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Number 20 is passed. Moving to 21, another letter of credit, Southgate Hills, number 2. Again, this is for grading, and would be release number 5.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? And number 22 is the after public hearing, and you should have a hard copy at your place setting, drainage improvement area extension for 1086 Strong Road subdivision.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Next is public comment. Another opportunity for members of the public to address the town board. Ross.
I can't come to a meeting without
Call the
making a
sheriff
comment.
right
Ross Catone, 7392 Trillium Trail. I moved to Victor in 1970, and I found that the taxes here were like, I think, a third about what they would be for the same place in Monroe County. So, and Victor's never let me down in terms of how they control the tax and expenditures and everything else, and I want to commend you on that. I think a lot of questions that people have expressed tonight were legitimate, but I also think the town of Victor's done a hell of a good job.
Thank you. Any other members of the public here to speak to the town board? Okay. Entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone, for your attendance.
When's Kim's party start?
Friday's Terry.